to our first Learn at Lunch program. I'm Linda Richards from Human Services, and I'm thrilled to introduce Deborah Enos. She's a wellness coach. She's with Fox News, King 5,
and well, NBC.
Right. So I first heard Deborah at a wellness event with WCIF almost 2 years ago in Suncadia. Very inspirational. Colleen Jokainen and I came back from that all pumped up and thought we've got to get her here. And she's here, and we're so happy.
Excited.
So, welcome, Deborah.
Thank you. And our fabulous lunch today is completely nutritionist approved, and I love this lunch. I'm going to be talking more about it, and the apple's amazing. And great study out of Wenatchee, Washington. Shockingly, they studied apples out there, which is like the apple region of the United States. And they found that eating an apple before a meal, 3 times a day, having an apple before a meal. Okay, so they can't hear. So eating an apple before a meal, people in the study lost 2.5 pounds a week. So that's a lot of apples. I'm not suggesting that you have an apple with every meal.
Is it because we're filled
Because what happens is the apple, 70 to 80 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and actually a lot of water. So it just fills you up so you're not as hungry to eat your actual meals. So we're gonna be wrapped up in about 25 minutes. We've got some prizes. So I'm gonna kind of go lickety-split. But I also know that everybody's getting a copy of the PowerPoint. So if you have any more questions, you can also email me, and I want to be really sensitive to time. So I also work on a TV show called The Doctors, which is filmed in LA, and that's a very fun show. I'm their 1-minute wellness coach, and so my whole goal today is to get out as much information as I can in 1-minute sound bites, kind of like a tweet. And so we're just going to dive right in and go for it. So I'm going to talk about skipping breakfast. I was a terrible breakfast skipper because I always thought I'd rather sleep an extra 10 or 15 minutes than eat breakfast. Anybody with me? Anybody skip breakfast on a pretty regular basis? Then I read this research that showed me that if I ate breakfast, I would burn 2 of these in 12 months. So this is 5 pounds of fat. So by eating breakfast, I can lose 2 of these in 12 months. So what happens is your body says, oh my gosh, Deborah's going to eat today. So as long as she's going to eat, I can rip this off of her butt and start to use it in muscle to keep her going, give her more energy. And so that's why eating breakfast is so important. I'm going to go ahead and pass my fat around. It was great when I showed up today. They said, did you bring your fat? I always travel with my fat. So I'm really good at it. So skipping breakfast will increase your stress. We already covered the fat. It can also increase inflammation in your body. Inflammation is responsible for just about every disease that will take us out. Are you shaking my fat?
I was.
Okay. It's fun. I know. It's really, it's a good, I wish you could roll it up.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, kind of just seems to go down. But anyway, that's a whole other issue. That's a different workshop, which we'll be doing in 2018. Okay. So inflammation, cancer, high blood pressure, senile dementia, Alzheimer's. These are all issues of inflammation. So skipping breakfast can actually increase the inflammation levels in your body. Stanford study. This is a very old study, probably 25 years old, but they found that by eating breakfast, you could add 5 years to your life. You've all worked really hard in this room to retire someday. Wouldn't it be great to have 5 extra years just by eating breakfast? And I'm going to talk about some of my favorite breakfasts. Can also increase cancer or diabetes risk if you're skipping breakfast. Okay, so that's my dog Louie. He's 14 and has trained for 5 half marathons with me. So he doesn't run a whole lot anymore at 100 years old, but he's hanging with me. So these are my top 6 grab-and-go breakfasts. I know you're all really busy. I know you have families, you've got commitments, and I'm not telling you to get up and make some gourmet bacon and eggs for breakfast, but could you have a banana and peanut butter on a piece of Dave's Killer Bread? Anybody a fan of Dave's Killer Bread? Love that bread. There's no crap in it. Do you mind if I say crap? Okay. There's no crap in it. I think it's a really good, easy breakfast. Hard-boiled eggs, I make a dozen on Sunday, and then I just take them to my office on Monday. So I always have hard-boiled eggs. They also make a great snack. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Well, what I like about hard-boiled eggs, 70 calories, a good hit of protein, and one hard-boiled egg will keep me full for about 2 hours. And what's great about it is you eat the whole egg, eat the yolk, eat everything. So the magic is truly in the yolk, and the yolk helps, the fat in the yolk helps to calm your brain down. So if you have a tendency to react a little bit to stress, or just you feel like you're always going, and need to calm down, having more good fat from eggs is a great way to go. Anybody a fan of green smoothies? I love green smoothies. So do you make them every morning, or?
No, I've had them other places, but I haven't found a good recipe.
Okay, I've got a lot of recipes. I'm going to give you all my social media websites, or however you phrase that. And so I've got lots of recipes for my favorite green smoothie. And I make one almost every day, and I usually make them on Sundays, and I put them all in a Ziploc, throw them in my freezer, pull them out Monday morning, pop the Ziploc, dump it into my blender, push the button, and I've got a smoothie in about 45 seconds. So that way it's just super easy. I'm busy. Again, you guys are busy. We have to make good nutrition and eating on the go something we can do on a pretty fast basis. Kind bars. Everybody should have been able to grab a Kind bar. Unless you're allergic to nuts, then please do not do that. Kind bars and RX bars, two of my favorite bars. Here's the key thing when you're looking at bars. I rely on them a lot as just a quick nutritional hit, but you've got to be careful of the sugar content. I had a very popular name brand, one of the most popular brands in the country, a couple of years ago, and I didn't have my glasses on, and I was in a hurry, and I grabbed it, and I was eating it, got back to my hotel room, and realized that there were 6 packets of sugar in this Cliff Bar that I had just purchased at the front desk at a hotel, because I normally travel with Kind bars or something like it. And I was on the board of directors of American Heart Association in Seattle for many years, and what we found with American Heart Association is the average woman can have 6 packets of sugar in a day. Average man, and this is purely based on size, can have 9 packets of sugar in a 24-hour period. So that Kind bar that I had before 7 o'clock in the morning, I had my 6 packets of sugar and I was done for the day. I could have no more sugar. The reason why sugar is such a culprit with heart disease is it increases your inflammation in your body. Inflammation, really, really bad for heart disease. So it's a little bit sneaky on the bars or on any label because it's in grams. And unless you're in the medical profession, you really have no idea what a gram looks like. And so 4 grams equal 1 packet of sugar. So 4 grams, 1 packet of sugar. Trail mix, I always have nuts and seeds in my purse or in my office, in my car. Probably my favorite one right now, pumpkin seeds. You guys really are super into Halloween, which I am digging. We don't really do that in Sammamish where I live. And so I was driving and it's like, oh my gosh, there's another scarecrow. Oh my gosh, there's another one. I'm thinking they were pedestrians. Really thin. So anyway, I wasn't sure about that. So trail mix, pumpkin seeds I love because of the high zinc content. So the more zinc you have on a daily basis, the higher your immune system. So pumpkin seeds, fantastic source of protein and zinc. And then an acai bowl, and I have that recipe on my website and Instagram. And again, they're really popular in the summer, especially beach towns, and they can be a pretty heavy sugar hit, so you need to be careful. But I have a great low sugar version on my website. So some of my favorite snacks, there's that Kind bar again. I don't work for Kind. I just really think that it's a terrific bar because when you look at that bar, you can actually see the ingredients and realize this is real food. I'm also a big fan of beef and turkey jerky. Yes, it's a high sodium content, so you're going to want to make sure on that day that you're having beef or turkey jerky as a meal or as a snack that you're drinking probably an extra glass of water. Hard-boiled eggs again, protein bar, Greek yogurt. Anybody a fan of Greek yogurt? Okay, one of the reasons why I like Greek yogurt so much is it's strained. So a lot of the fluid is removed, so what you end up with is a higher protein content, a higher concentration of protein. So when you do a basic Greek yogurt, not vanilla, not honey, not flavored, it's very low in sugar, it's just all naturally occurring sugars, but the protein content is usually 40 to 50% more than like a basic Dannon or I can't think of any other brands right now, or even like a Kirkland Signature or a Trader Joe's. Protein drink, I'm okay, and have a peanut butter sandwich again on Dave's Killer Bread. I'm a fan of protein drinks, but keep in mind most protein drinks have a lot of junk in them. So I'd rather have you have real sugar than a bunch of Splenda, aspartame, and NutraSweet. So read the labels, make sure that it's a pretty clean label, and you really are avoiding the fake sweeteners. And we will have some time for questions at the end. So how long is your lunch usually? Is it 30 minutes? Okay, most people bring lunch to work. I certainly do. Okay, I hate spending money. Plus, you don't have a lot of places. I mean, you have places to go, but nothing probably super fast. So these are some of my favorite lunches, super high energy, and again, what you want to stick with is about 25+% of protein at lunchtime. A 50% produce kind of grain combination, really more of the produce, so more fruits and veggies. And by grain, I'm talking about quinoa, brown rice, amaranth, some of those really great ancient grains. And you got to have fat. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, we would as a nutritionist, we would tell people, really avoid fat. Fat makes you fat. Fat is going to grow more of that. Well, what happened is if you didn't eat fat, you never felt full. So you have to have fat and protein at every meal and every snack. So if I had a snack at, say, 1:30, and I just had an apple, that's going to keep me full for about an hour. But if I have an apple with a handful of cashews, it'll keep me full for twice as long. So keep that in mind when it comes to lunch and snacks, is the more protein and the fat that you have, the longer you're going to stay full. So again, I'm okay with the protein drinks. I love leftovers. You see the beef jerky again. This is kind of you're totally on the run. Maybe you're stuck at your desk for lunch. Beef jerky, fruit, and maybe a small bag. I see you guys have pop chips out here in the vending machines. That's probably one of my favorite chips. It's fairly low calorie, not a lot of junk in it, and it's a good way to go. So questions on food. That was the fastest I've ever talked about breakfast, snacks, and lunch. So we have about 2 minutes for questions before I go into some stress and some sleep tips. Doing okay? So did I convince you to all start eating breakfast?
What about probiotics?
So probiotics, I'm a huge fan of probiotics. In fact, we are going to be doing a raffle at the end, and we're raffling off a couple of bottles of probiotics. So probiotics, you have in your gut, so colon and stomach, that's where 70 to 80% of your immune system resides. So if your gut bacteria, probiotics and prebiotics, are flourishing and healthy, you're bulletproof. You are so healthy. Somebody could sneeze in your face and you're probably not going to get it. Your outlook for life looks good for Alzheimer's and senile dementia and diabetes. Having great gut health impacts just about everything, including your mood. So if you do not have great gut health, how you get to having better gut health, eating more yogurt, fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, kombucha, and taking probiotics. So there's been some research that even if you drink or eat the junk yogurt with the strawberry flavoring and not great high quality yogurt, it still can greatly impact your probiotics in your gut. This is some research, actually I don't have it up, but probiotics, I wish I would have started this 25 years ago. So I grew up as a kid, lots of antibiotics. I grew up on a small farm in Northern California where we grew almonds. Luckily, Linda knew what I meant when I said almonds. City folk call them almonds, but we call them almonds. So I grew up on a farm where we grew almonds and walnuts, but I was also highly allergic to almonds and walnuts and asthmatic as a kid and just a mess, constantly on antibiotics. So I probably blew out a good amount of my probiotics. So again, I wish this research had been available 25 years ago to know that, man, you've got to really replace that. I didn't eat a lot of kimchi. I didn't eat a lot of sauerkraut. That just wasn't part of my diet growing up. We were meat and potatoes. My mom is from the South, so we ate a lot of Pop-Tarts, but we didn't eat a lot of kimchi. So I'm still at 52 figuring out how can I get more probiotics into my diet, and doing yogurt for breakfast about 3 days a week is one of my key ways I do it. So I'm a huge fan of probiotics. Good ones will cost some money, probably a good $20 a month, but I think it's well worth it, especially from the immune standpoint of how it can really boost your immune system for the rest of your life. Question?
Now you're talking about yogurt. I've found as I've gotten older that I can't eat yogurt.
You can't digest it as well.
Right.
Okay, so sauerkraut for you, honey. We'll stay away from you after lunch because it can be a little stinky. But so you'd have to figure out some alternatives. So think about fermented foods. Beer counts. A little bit. There's some research on beer that's floating around the internet right now. So if you have more questions, feel free to email me. I'll be happy to respond. So again, probiotics, can't mention it enough. I'm going to wrap up breakfast, and then we're going to talk about this and do our drawing. And then I'm speaking again in 12 minutes if you want to hang out with me on stress management. So when it comes to breakfast, I don't want you to be intimidated about having to get up super early. Most of my breakfast I make the night before. So I have my toast out, I've got peanut butter out, I've got almond butter out, I've made hard-boiled eggs. I always do it the night before, and that way when I get up, it's like, okay, I already know what I'm going to be having. I think part of the hard thing about being healthy is not having the food in your house. And so if you're organized and you're thinking about what you're going to eat the next day, the day before, it makes a tremendous difference. So when it comes to breakfast and when it comes to telling your body to burn more of this, it takes about 100 to 150 calories. That is a hard-boiled egg and half a banana. That is a tablespoon of peanut butter on a piece of toast. It doesn't have to be a lot of calories to really get your body jump-starting. So what happens is that fat gets tossed into that muscle and start to be used as a fuel source. Now the other key point is your body likes to eat right when it gets up. So within about 45 minutes is really kind of the sweet spot. Now I take a thyroid medication in the morning, and I can't eat anything for 30 minutes, but when that 30-minute hit, I am ready for breakfast. So I'll answer more questions if I can as we finish up here. So let's talk a little bit about sleep. Anybody sleep more than 7 hours a night? Okay, so 5 people. Okay, look at these 5 people. They're going to be on the planet for the next 60 years. And the rest of us really need to get this sleep thing under control. Anybody sleeping less than 6 hours a night? Okay, so it is tough. And I see a newborn out here, so you're definitely sleeping less than 6 hours a night. So if you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night, your body looks at it as a tremendous, tremendous stress. And so what it's going to do is it's going to say, Deborah, you didn't sleep enough last night. It's a huge stress. So I want you to eat 221 extra calories of scones today. And that's literally what your body is saying. If you're not sleeping enough, your body wants white flour, sugar, and fat the next day because it creates serotonin. You know what it's like here? I mean, I certainly know what it's like in my neighborhood. In December, it's dark at 4:15, and all I want is to just put on my jammies and sit by a fire by 5 o'clock. And so don't you feel like you crave more sugar, white flour, carbohydrates, fat in the winter? It's your body's way of saying, oh, this is so yummy. Let's just go read a book and let's just go hang out. And it calms you down and it keeps you really relaxed. So not sleeping also drives you to eat more of those things. So, sweet spot, if you can get 6.5 hours a night, that's just on the edge of me saying awesome, good job, but 7 to 9 is really where you want to be. I know for you, some of you who are getting 5, you're thinking, is she serious? How am I possibly going to do this? Even if you go to bed 15 minutes earlier and you're just resting and you're horizontal, that's helpful. So can you just do 15 minutes earlier to bed? If you're not sleeping that much, wrinkles and belly fat, which we don't want to even go there, but again, higher risk for diabetes, high blood pressure and cancer, similar to skipping breakfast. You can kind of see this pattern of being in a hurry, not sleeping and not eating really kind of drives your body into more of a disease state. So not sleeping well, sleeping 1 to 2 hours less per night than you're used to will double your risk of a car accident. It's absolutely amazing. I did this for, this slide is actually, I work with Waste Management and Waste Connections, and I did this specifically for the drivers who, if they're not sleeping well, they're at a much higher risk of having an accident behind a very big truck. So, so start to think about what can you do to become a better sleeper. I'm going to go ahead and put this up so you can either take a picture of it or you've got it in the handout or in the PowerPoint that you'll get emailed. But sleeping better, staying off of screens at night, meaning having something right in your face. TV does not seem to impact your sleep unless you're watching the news. But anyway, that's a whole other story, another workshop. But TV is far enough away from you. But if you're on an iPad or a Kindle, that bright light basically hits you in the eyeballs and it says to your body, it's daytime. You need to start making cortisol and all of the stress hormones to get this body up and get this body going, versus if you're reading just an old-fashioned book, which I have gone back to, your body will continue to make serotonin and melatonin, which will calm you down and keep you peaceful and help you to become a better sleeper. So we're going to wrap up with that. I probably have time for 1 or 2 questions while Linda is getting ready to do the raffle. A couple of questions. Okay. So, yes?
Any suggestions for us older women who can't stay asleep? I fall asleep and then I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
So, the question is, what about waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning? She can actually fall asleep, but she can't stay asleep. One of the things that because I have that same problem, I stopped drinking fluids at about 6 o'clock at night. One of the things that you will read in every nutrition magazine, drink 8-10 glasses of water. So my clients will come home from work and they'll say, oh my gosh, I forgot to drink all my water. They start chugging these massive amounts of water at night, and they're up at 1, they're up at 3, they're up at 5, and finally they just say, oh, screw it, I'm just going to get up. So don't make your sleep worse by having bad habits in the evening. A huge meal at night that's a ton of animal protein is also going to make your gut kind of churn and burn. A lot of alcohol at night. I like my glass of wine. I had 2 of them last night at Christopher's. However, I was done with my fluids by about 8 o'clock, because if I would have had a glass of wine at 8, I'd have been up at 2 o'clock this morning. And I would not have been very happy and nice to you guys. I'd have made you do push-ups or something. I don't know. So that's one of the best things. And then email me, and I'm happy to tell you hormones are not such a bad thing. So we can talk about that.